Zeev Simon here. Hope you're doing great. Today, I'm going to chat with you about something that might seem tricky for a lot of dentists, which is extracting broken teeth or root tips. They do break, and we do need to deal with them. But guess what? It's not as complicated as it might look like, especially if you have an extraction plan. So take a look at this patient. How would you handle this type of situation? Many dentists find it a bit daunting, but personally, I like doing these types of procedures. I like the challenge, and it could be straightforward if you got an extraction plan in your back pocket. Like I said, for many dentists, dealing with cracked, brittle, or infected teeth can be a bit like a curveball. Lots of us face these types of situations, and if we don't know how to extract these teeth, that's going to lead to delay in patient care, loss of production, because we don't have clarity about a fundamental procedure every dentist needs to know. In these videos, I'm literally on a mission to create some clarity about extractions. Because, guys, let's be real. There's not always a clear roadmap in dentistry, especially when it comes to pulling teeth. Dental school gives us the basics, but once you're graduated, once you're out there, it's like being in the Wild West. You're on your own. Now, let's zoom in on broken roots. Most can be dealt with if you've got the right tools and a bit of anticipation. And here's the key. You need to vibrate the tooth with whatever structure is left. A lot of dentists go for splitting and removing bone or trying to extract right away. You need to loosen up that root tip before it decides to break. So take this hopeless tooth, for example. It could look like a challenge, but it's all about having an extraction plan. So imagine having a step-by-step guide for situations exactly like this one. Now, the extraction process does not start when you grab your forceps. It starts with sizing up the x-ray and checking out the clinical condition. Now, here's the good news for this case. We've got a bit of tooth structure to work with. The bad news is that the tooth is probably going to break. I doodled some illustrations here to guide our extraction game plan. Every extraction starts off with a vibration process. I also call it loosening. Why? Because it starts an inflammation process inside the periodontal ligament space. It makes the tooth easier to extract. And when the PDL around the root tip gets inflamed and gets stretched, it's going to make the root tip easier to remove once it breaks, and break it will if you're looking at this x-ray. So depending on what's left of the tooth, I'm going to start by using forceps that can really grab hold of the remaining tooth structure. Grabbing is key, guys. I take an Orban knife, I separate the soft tissue, I take the forceps, I grab the tooth structure, I vibrate the tooth for about 60 seconds, clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise again. Take your time, slowly along the long axis of the tooth, almost like a little dance. And if I notice mobility, I'm going to start applying some coronal force while I apply those rotational forces. And then in this case, I had the inevitable break of the root tip. Guys, there's no need to panic. Stay cool, take a quick x-ray to see where that broken root lies, where it's at, so you can identify it. And in order to remove it, we're going to create some side cuts. A longer cut on the distal side of the root and a shorter cut on the mesial side. We're trying to eliminate that undercut. And then I'm going to use a tool that fits the space. It could either be a spade or a root pick. And I use one of these tools to elevate that root. Now remember that I loosened up that root initially, so there is already some inflammation around the root tip, which will facilitate the extraction. The root pick did the trick, and I'm going to confirm that the socket is clean with a post-surgical x-ray. That was a sneak peek into my extraction mindset. Stay tuned for the next video where we'll chat about forceps selection. This is Dr. Zeev Simon signing off. I'll see you in the next video.